Welcome to the Norman Rotary Club this Thursday, September 26th. Please join me in a moment of prayer, reflection, or silent activity. Please pray for those that are about to get bad weather their direction. That is also my hometown area, so in Southwest Georgia. So please keep those people in your mind and thoughts, and give us a moment of reflection. We'll have Mark with the flag salute, followed by Lori with the four-way test. Please join us in the flag salute. All right, Mark. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please join me in the four-way test of the things we think, say, or do.
Is the truth, is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Will it be both? You can be seated. We have several guests today. Our speaker, Greg, brought some guests with him, and he's going to introduce them when he comes up. So we welcome y'all with Greg, by the way. We don't want to leave y'all out. And Stephen Crane is going to help me with guests, and Kyla, when he comes around to you, you can go ahead and make your announcement.
Well, speaking of Kyla, we have a visiting Rotarian from the Legacy Club. Everybody say hi to Kyla.
Hello, everybody. I am making the rounds visiting other clubs this week. I went to Purcell yesterday, and they actually mentioned your race, so the word is getting out. I'm here. You got a few flyers at your tables. We are hosting a tailgate for the OU at Missouri game. We did our first one last year at Landers Chevrolet. Our beneficiary this year is Habitat for Humanity. We have a great time. We've got some tables available, so if you guys at the club want to buy a table, or if any of the businesses in here want to buy a table, they're $200. That gets you 8 seats. All that you can drink. We will, I think, we're going to sell some barbecue, similar to what we have today, for about $5. And we're going to watch the Missouri game. We do a big tent out in the parking lot at Landers. Have 3 big projectors out there so you guys can watch the game and all that good fun stuff. So if you have any questions, I'd love to chat with you after. And I think that's it.
Where's Miss Judita?
I'm very glad to have today Professor Emeritus right now for Petroleum Engineering at the University of Oklahoma. And I brought him because our kitchen's getting worked on, and if you wanted a meal.
I don't see Mark Kirkbury.
No, but I'll sponsor Zane today. No problem at all.
You want to share the big exciting news or what we need to do regarding Zane? Zane is up for membership. He is on your newsletter. And so take a look at that, and yays and nays, you know what to do. It's on the back. That's all the guests we have today.
Hey, thank you. Thanks, Zane, for coming again. Yes. We're very excited about his interest in our club as well. And welcome, Roy. I'm glad you got a good meal today. We had several announcements today, so we're going to skip some of our regular club stuff. But first and foremost, out of our announcements, we have posters. Is everybody excited? Oh, that was, no. Let's try again. We have posters. Gotta have some enthusiasm. This is so exciting. Okay. Now I need people to help distribute them. So please see me afterwards. We are going to have a brief Rotary Road Rally and Festival meeting after this meeting. And so please come see us, talk about it. Let's get these everywhere. There are plenty of other events on that day since it's a bye week. So we really want to make sure we get our stuff out there. So posters, volunteers. We did send out, I sent out an email on behalf of Liz McCowan, who had to leave because she's going to visit her family in Maine. And but we have a few updates to it, to the 5K route. So we need a few extra volunteers. So I'll send out a new version of that before tomorrow. But please sign up. And then we also need, I will also be announcing other clubs events such as, we've already mentioned Legacy Club, event coming up in November. The Sooner Club is going to start having, what do they call it, Rotary reading days. And they will have, Rotary Reader Days. Jane Purcell, if y'all know Jane, if not, I can get you in contact with her. They will be reading on Tuesdays from 12:30 to 1. Sorry about that, I had to find that information on the sheet. So if you're interested, please see me after the meeting, I can get that information to you. We are also gonna be doing some reading as well, adding on to what they're doing with Sooner Club. We'll add one of our schools as well onto that. Let's see what else do I need to tell you about Legacy Kane, so I didn't need to share that. And then we talked about our membership program that we talked about last week. So that's all the announcements I had, besides Shauna has an announcement about this weekend.
Okay. I just want to let everybody know the September service project is trash pickup day this Saturday at 8:30 at Rotary Park. And we'll probably go get coffee or breakfast or something afterwards. So be there or be sweating.
Thank you. Should be good weather for that, so it's an easy give back to the community, doesn't take long, but great networking with your other Rotarians. And Craig.
That was too much, thank you very much. So, today, this morning, I delivered the books and book covers to the library, head librarian at Norman Public Schools, and she told me this information. It's a little bit hard to follow, so. Historically speaking, the checkout rate, circulation rate at the libraries for the high school and middle school has always been higher than elementary school. That is until last year. And now the elementary school's circulation rate is higher. And the schools that we're giving the nooks away in, all of them are in the top 10 in circulation rate. So I just thought that was good news, I'm sure.
Now, can I please get Charlie and Tom to come up here, please? All right, we have an induction of a new member today. How exciting. On behalf of the members of the Norman Rotary Club, I'm delighted to extend a warm welcome to our newest member, Charlie Nicholson, and thank you to his sponsor, Tom Cooper. Joining Rotary is not just about becoming a member of a club. It's about becoming a part of a global community dedicated to making a positive difference in the world. As a Rotary Club, we uphold the values of service, integrity, diversity, and leadership. We are united in our commitment to improving lives locally and globally through our various service projects and initiatives. Charlie, we are excited to have you join us on this journey of service and fellowship. Your unique skills, experiences, and perspectives will enrich our club and contribute to our collective efforts to create lasting change. As you embark on your Rotary journey, you will have the opportunity to connect with fellow members, not just Tom, participate in meaningful projects, and engage in activities that align with your passion and interests. We encourage you to take full advantage of all that Rotary has to offer and to share your ideas and aspirations with us. Once again, Charlie, welcome to the Norman Rotary Club. We are thrilled to have you as part of our team. We look forward to working together and making a positive impact in our community and beyond. Thank you. Come on, Tom. Thank you. And we'll have him for a red badge soon. Red badge talk. So with no further ado, we'll have Steve Moran come up to introduce our speaker today.
Yes, so welcome Charlie. Charlie's kind of a big deal. You guys don't know who he is. He's a, ago, this guy was around and even taught me a class back then, so welcome. So I'm here to introduce our guest speaker, Greg Mashburn, our district attorney. He's the district attorney for Cleveland, Garden, and Plain counties. Greg is from Idabel, and so for the past 29 years, Greg's and his family lived in Norman. Greg has 2 adult sons that are married, and he has a sort of new grandson. Greg attended Harding University in Arkansas on a football scholarship, graduated in 1995, and then came here to get his JD and graduated in 1998. So after that, he spent just a decade in the Oakland County Community DA's office, and so he has been here since 2007, right? And he just told me he is the second longest serving DA in the state. And he was last elected in 2023 for his 5th term. So please help me welcome Greg, and he's introduce his team.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's awesome to be here with you. It's always a pleasure to come out to this group, especially. I used to visit when I was a Rotarian of the morning club, and just so I see a lot of friends, and it's been a long time since I've come to visit with you, so it's a great opportunity for me to tell you about the cool stuff that's going on in our office and a lot of the success that we're having. I'll talk to you a little bit about some of the grant projects that we're running right now to try to get out and do more of this in our community. And so we'll talk about that in just a second. First of all, let me introduce you to my crew that I brought with me today. Jennifer Austin. Jennifer is my first assistant. Jennifer and I have worked together for 27 years. We started as baby lawyers in Oklahoma County DA's office, and she grew up here in Norman, and she has been kind of a work wife to me for so many years, mainly because she nags me all the time and makes me do stuff that I don't want to do. But she's the boss, and she's second in charge, but she really runs the office. I'm just the eye candy here for everyone. So that's what I tell jurors when we try homicide cases together, is that she does all the real work. So Jennifer's awesome and does a really great job as first assistant in the office. With me today also Stephen Wolf and Blythe Buntrop. They are our community engagement directors, and I'll tell you a little bit about what that means as we go into the presentation. But they've been going out and getting involved in the community and being kind of our liaison with our community groups and police agencies as well. So I think I've kind of told you guys before, you guys kind of know, so I won't go into details in the office, but if you guys have specific questions about how our office is run, we're the 3rd largest DA's office in the state, behind Oklahoma City and Tulsa. We have 3 offices, so I'm the district attorney for 3 counties, Cleveland, McLean, and Garden, so I have an office here in Norman, Purcell, and Pauls Valley. I have about 25 assistant district attorneys, so we're a pretty big law firm with a lot of attorneys, and we probably have 50 support staff, a little bit more maybe. And so that can be the challenge. The rapists and murderers are kind of easy to deal with. Sometimes it's the employees and managing those employees that can be the challenge, as a lot of you guys know out there. So let me talk to you all about, and if you guys have any questions, just let me know. I'm happy to stop and answer any questions as they come up. If you want to know more about how the office is divided up, we can go into that. But at your table, we passed out our Mashburn report for 2024. It's part of our project to get out into our communities and let you all know what's going on in our office. We've been doing this our 2nd volume. We did one last year. A lot of great success, a lot of good feedback, and so we did another this year. So I'll hit the high points for that, and I'll tell you kind of some of the stuff that we're seeing. I'm going to try not to depress you and tell you all the bad stuff that's going on in our community, because I could sit here all day and tell you some horrible stories, but I'll spare you those details. But the flip side of that is you got a lot of great dedicated people who are helping victims get through a lot of those hard cases and taking care of people who did not make the choice to come down to the courthouse. Somebody else made that choice for them, and we are standing there to help them through the criminal justice system. So that's why we do what we do, why Jennifer and I have dedicated our whole careers to taking care of victims and seeing them through that criminal justice system. So let's just kind of get the high points. The first one, you'll see the first page is our Innovative Prosecution Solutions Grant. So I saw this grant come across an email about what prosecutors could do to engage your community more. And so we said, let's go forward and try it. We got 2 prosecutors or 2 community engagement directors, and we also got some software to help crime track, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. But so Stephen and Blythe are those 2 grant-funded positions. So they go out to the Rotaries, they go to Chambers of Commerce, they go out in community events. We have the National Night Out, one's coming up in Norman on Monday night. Encourage you to get out for that, and National Nights Out. You know, we used to go into the neighborhoods, and now we're kind of having all the neighborhoods come to one big location. I think it's the Norman Sooner Mall parking lot. And that's been really good. Moore does theirs in the Warren parking lot, and so it's been a really, really good deal. And so what we're trying to do is, you know, when you're a prosecutor, you just got your big bucket of files. You're going to court every day, and you throw the buckets on the tables in the courtroom. You got defense attorneys yelling at you, you got judges yelling at you, and you're just like, okay, and you get through that, and you get back to the office and answer all your phone calls, and then you gotta call the police back, and you gotta get ready for jury trials. And so we don't have a lot of time to kind of look at like, what's going on out in the neighborhoods, you know. And so a lot of times what we do is we get behind on the curve on what's going on actually out in the community. So, you know, you can look at a file and the prosecutor that's on the line like that is looking like, man, I'm starting to see a lot of cases come out of this area of town. So we're having a lot of burglaries over there. But you don't really know the numbers, you just know you're kind of seeing a lot of them or whatever. But that's after it happened, the cops showed up, they investigated the case, then if they can find out who did it, and they solve the case, and they bring it to us, and we file the charge. So you're talking 6 or 8 months down the road, and we start seeing a lot of the stuff that's going on. So trying to bridge that gap and trying to get out into our community, what are you seeing? What are you guys feeling out there? Then we can adjust what we're doing at the courthouse more quickly. So another one of the things we're doing with that grant is some prosecution software where we're going to try. You've seen the crime tracker maps. The police departments have those on just calls for service. On, man, we're really busy getting called over here. We're getting calls over here. So we're in the hot spots. But for us, how many cases are we able to file on that? What happens to those cases in that area? So we're trying to track what cases got filed where, out of what areas, and then track them all the way. So what are we going to do with those cases? Are they getting probation? Are those people getting our diversion courts, which we'll talk a little bit more about in a second? Are they getting sent to prison? Are we seeing that consistent? And if so, maybe what we're doing, maybe probation's not working, maybe diversion courts aren't working, maybe prison needs to be the answer on that, maybe we need to ramp up that piece. So we really kind of want to be more quick to, instead of being reactive to that, being more proactive about what's going on. And the only thing we can do that is being out here and talking to everybody and seeing what you're seeing. Because a lot of times it's 2 or 3 people doing a ton of stuff in one area or one group. We don't necessarily have a huge gang issue here, but you know, every once in a while you see a little, it'll kind of pop up. But you know, is it just one group? Is it just 2 or 3 people? And if you send off that person or that group, then you make a huge difference in that part of town, right? And so we're trying to do a little bit better job of that. The idea being with the software is that once we kind of track it in our office and kind of get it up and running, get robust data in that, then we can push it out maybe onto our website so that everybody will be able to get on and see what's going on, and you guys can see the outcomes that we're seeing in the courtroom. So that's kind of a cool deal that we've started, and Blythe and Steve are doing a great job in working that and kind of taking something from scratch and turning it into something successful. So really proud of that. If you look, we track all of our felony cases, so you guys can kind of see the breakdown of felony cases that are in there. You'll see a big percentage of our cases are bell jumpings and felony bail jumpings. 15% of our cases are bail jumpings, because people just don't come to court. And so when they get out on a PR bond for the 6th time, and they get another PR bond and they just don't come to court, then I'll file a bail jumping charge on them, so hopefully we can get them to, make them go to court and answer for the charge. And sometimes, you know, a few years ago, we had state question 780 that made all drug crimes misdemeanor forever and ever, and so 15th meth charge, 15th heroin charge is misdemeanor every time, so I can't ever make a felony on those, and so they're not eligible for drug courts, community sentencing, mental health court, some of those other things, because they're only in jail on a misdemeanor. And so you see my drug court numbers, we used to have 150 cases plus a waiting list in drug court. Now we have 60 people in drug court, and we used to not let DUIs into our drug court, but we've had to do that. So now we let DUI offenders in our drug court, and half of drug court is DUIs now. And that's because people, if they're only facing a misdemeanor, they don't want to help. They're like, I'll just sit in jail for a few months, and then I don't have to do drug court. And so I'd rather do that than solve my, you mean I got to work a program where I got to stay employed, test clean, and follow a bunch of rules? No, I'll sit in jail for 30, 60 days, and then I'll be back out and know what I want to do. And so that's been really frustrating, but if I can get that bail jumping, if they're not coming to court, which most of them don't, then I can file that felony charge, and we can maybe have a felony hanging over their head and maybe help them get some treatment. So that we're seeing a lot of those, and filing a lot of those cases. You see our diversion courts, again, we have all of those courts that I mentioned earlier, and we have a lot of good people, and we're in a fortunate area to have a lot of resources for those people, so inpatient beds, drug treatment, those kind of things. In our more rural areas in our state, and even in McLean and Garvin County, we don't have access to as many services as we do here, so it becomes a challenge to match those folks out who need some of those services. We had a lady named Rebecca Allen that wrote a great piece that was featured in Oklahoman about getting the focus back on the victims, because we were having a lot of stuff that was getting thrown out there around death penalty, defendants on death row, and you know, and Rebecca was like, I'm sick and tired. What about us? What about the victims? She had her daughter and her 9-year-old son were stabbed to death, and her 5-year-old granddaughter. So Scott met her in McLean County. 2 weeks later, they met on Facebook. 2 weeks later, he stabbed the mom, stabbed the little boy, and kicked the little girl in the face and threw her in the closet and set the trailer house on fire. So she died of smoke inhalation and burned to death. And so he was put on death row. He, as a result of the McGirt decision, the kids were tribal members and were card-carrying tribal members. So because he was white as day, but his victims were Indian, he was going to get dismissed in state court and had to sent to federal court and get a whole new trial. And so it was really frustrating. I met with Governor Anatubby, who was awesome, and trying to find solutions where we could keep it. In the meantime, the day he was going to be released and sent up to federal court, the Court of Criminal Appeals in Oklahoma said, that's not retroactive. You don't get to go backwards. And so he stayed. And so he was very upset because in federal court, they're not seeking the death penalty under the current administration. So he was going to get retried, and the most he was going to get was life in prison, and he was facing death if he stayed in state court. So that was a bad day for him, and I was happy to see it. But so he's still on our death row, and again, that had kept coming up with Julius Jones stuff and some stuff with our part of the pro board, and Rebecca was like, how do I get the focus back on, victims? And so we helped her write it. It was a great article, so I encourage you guys to read that. She's awesome. The next page, we have our jury trials that we performed last year. You guys will see, just probably can't see any of y'all's pictures on there. That's but those jury trials are very important to what we do, because they really control how our cases run day to day. And so even though it's only a small percentage of our cases end up going to jury trial, where you guys from the community come in and tell us what you want to see happen on the case, then that drives the rest. So, and let me just give you an example. So if I'm a prosecutor and I keep recommending 20 years on cases, and you people from my community keep coming in and finding them guilty, but you only give me 5, well, I'm being too harsh. So I need to change my recommendations from 20 to 5, because that's what my community is telling me you want to see happen on those cases. If I keep recommending 5s and you guys keep on coming in as jurors and giving 20s, then I'm being wuss, and I need to stop giving 5s, right? So you guys set the tone. I mean, being a government for the people, of the people, by the people, that is straight. People tell me what you want to do, and we do it on those cases, and those really drive. And so it's important to be successful in those cases, because if you're losing all your jury trials, then why would a defendant ever plead? Because they're going to go to trial and win. And so it's important, but if they're going to go to trial and lose, then they better take our plea bargain, which is less than what my community might do on the case. Then that's how those cases end up resolving. So I think we lost, when I first took office, the office had been winning 34% of the jury trials. Last year, I think we lost 1 felony jury trial. And this year we're off to a pretty solid start. So that really puts us in the driver's seat as far as how the cases are handled. One particular case, Jennifer Austin and I tried, Desiree Sanchez down here. Desiree and her husband killed her husband's half-sister in Norman at an apartment complex, and wrapped her in a Tupperware and kept her in the outside on the patio of the apartment in the outside closet for about a year. Then they moved to another house and put her in the garage, and then moved her to another house in the basement over off Lindsay Street. She was in that box for 3 years, and they continued to collect her Social Security check every month. They would lie to the Social Security workers who would check on her, like, yeah, she's missing, and then she's like, oh, no, she's doing great, she's taking her meds. So they were just taking her money all that time. And so Jennifer and I tried that case and convicted Desiree, and then her husband pled blind to Judge Bachman and was sentenced to basically the same sentence, life in prison plus 5 years. Just horrible people. And so we were glad to see her get taken care of. We do a lot of work at the Capitol. I get called up there quite a bit, educating legislators on what's going on. Criminal justice bills, there's quite a bit of those. Talking about my budget, because that's where my budget comes from, so I end up spending a lot of time up there. And our office just does, I have such a great staff and such amazing people that I get to work for. And other people see it. We've had tons of award winners, prosecutors, support staff that just do an amazing job, and I'm so proud of them. You guys should be proud of them too, as your district attorney's office, because they really do an amazing job taking care of people and making sure our community is safe as possible. Kind of just hot topics right now. Fentanyl, we see tons of fentanyl. And you guys see that probably on the news all the time. It's not anything we're only fighting here in Oklahoma, but nationwide, is a huge fentanyl issue. But because of our proximity to the border, we do see a ton of it locally. A lot of it comes here. The cartels bring it in. So China makes it. China gets it over to Mexico. They run it through the cartels. Cartels bring it across the border. A lot of it ends up here in Oklahoma. Then it gets dispersed all over the country from here. So a lot of drug trafficking organizations, Sinaloa cartels, big. And so we see tons of fentanyl. So just to kind of give you an idea of the numbers that have jumped, because I think I've even spoken to this group before when we were having an opioid epidemic and the prescription pill problems. Fentanyl has just overcome all of that. Meth is still way, way, way up there, but fentanyl is just coming a close second, and both of them coming across the border. I mean, nobody makes meth local anymore. It's all trafficked across the border. And we're seeing it in greater quantities. So when you talk about meth, we used to front drug dealers they would front an ounce of meth and say, go sell this and bring me back the money. Now there's so much of it, they're like, here's 5 pounds. You guys go sell that and then get back to me. You know, cartels used to never let go of 5 pounds at a time. Because they ounce at a time. Now it's 5 pounds at a time. Y'all, and we got plenty, y'all go sell it. But then fentanyl, so I have a drug task force, drug and street crimes task force. So Norman has a couple of guys on there. Moore PD, Sheriff's Office used to have somebody on there. Some investigators in my office, and so we all kind of join and forces and focus on drug trafficking organizations, violent crimes, that kind of stuff. So these are just numbers from my drug task force, just my little task force. They were telling me that fentanyl pills last year were $25 a piece. So when they make a fentanyl pill, they take fentanyl, they traffic it over here, and then they'll take acetaminophen, Tylenol, and they'll grind it up, and then they pack it together and press a pill out of it. It looks like a regular pill that you'd see in your deal, but if it's got acetaminophen in it, you know it's pill press, because that's the binder that they use, and real fentanyl pills don't have binders in it. And so, and the problem is, since they're not chemists and not the brightest people, when they mix a batch of fentanyl with all that stuff, they don't measure it out. So one fentanyl pill will be all fentanyl, and then the next fentanyl pill might not have hardly any in it. And so somebody out there takes one of those pills, they don't know how much fentanyl they're getting, so they're overdosing. We've seen tons of overdoses. When we go into a flop house out in the community, where a lot of fentanyl is being used, all the Narcan shots, there'll just be boxes of them everywhere. They get them in bulk, they go to those vending machines, and they have a whole stash so that when they do the drugs, they can jab each other, wake each other back up. And so fentanyl is amazingly potent. It is, trafficking weight of fentanyl is 1 gram. Okay, 1 gram is considered trafficking. Aggravated trafficking is 5 grams. It's 50 times more potent than heroin. It's 100 times more potent than morphine. Drug trafficking organizations typically distribute fentanyl by the kilo, and 1 kilogram of fentanyl has the potential to kill 500,000 people. That's how potent it is. So law enforcement has to be really careful when they are messing with that. So just our task force this year, 2024, has seized 3,587 grams of fentanyl. And 1 gram is trafficking weight, 3,587 grams. And our average seizure, just my task force, our average seizure is 55 grams at a time. And the fentanyl seizures have tripled this year over 2023. Just if you look at our case numbers, we filed 10 fentanyl cases in 2021. In 2022, we filed 104 fentanyl cases. In 23, we filed 122, and just this year, we filed 113. So, I mean, it's really taken over everything we do. And again, you can follow the money trail back across the border and all the way to China on just the way that this stuff gets sourced. It's pretty amazing. So I hope I haven't totally impressed you guys on everything that's going on out there, but you guys have to know, I mean, I'm happy to answer any questions you have about what we're seeing or our, any of the cases that we have going on. Unfortunately, we have a bunch of homicides and horrible cases that we have to deal with. Unfortunately, there are cases that I asked for the death penalty on, and we don't do that on every case. Those have to be super aggravated. Those should be reserved for the worst of the worst, and unfortunately, we just have some of those. And Jennifer, you guys will remember one case that Jennifer tried, the Moore cross-country case, where the guy plowed the cross-country team as they were leaving the hospital on their afternoon run, and Jennifer tried that case. So, taking care of those victims and seeing those through, that is absolutely why we do what we do. And it's very rewarding. It can be really stressful sometimes, but very rewarding when you see the people held accountable for that and see the families hopefully getting some closure on the other side of those cases. And that's kind of my presentation for today. Another one of the hot topics that we're really dealing with is retail crime. If you guys are business owners, you might have seen an uptick in that. You know, a few years ago, we raised the dollar limit for it to be a felony. You have to steal $1,000 from $500. When I first started, it was $50, and then it went out to $100, and then they jumped to $500, and then now it's $1,000. And so what we see is guys with calculators and making sure that they steal $900. I'm not even joking. $990, and then they'll walk out. It's insane. Huh? You can't include the tax in that. And so we got it. And we have groups coming up from Texas, and then they all go in, they all try to keep it under 1,000, they know how to do it. Jennifer was at the Ulta a few months ago and saw smash and grab, right? I mean, like, all these women come running in and just smashing the counters and taking everything off of it. And so we're part of an organized retail crime group that meets at the Capitol. And so Jennifer and I have been up there several times with Home Depot guys and Walmart guys, and just trying to figure out what we can do to maybe alter the laws that we can start targeting these people who are, just pillaging our businesses. And so we've been working on that. But anyway, thank you guys for having me. It really is awesome to come and talk to you. And so I can take any questions, or I can, yes ma'am.
With that retail crime,
With the retail crime, do they take into account the building's damages or the fixtures, like if they've smashed?
Yeah.
Do they add that on?
No, it has to be the property that was stolen. And so now there's, you might be able to get them for malicious injury to property, but again, that's got a $1,500 felony limit on it. And so it doesn't hardly get taken into consideration. Somebody else? Yes, sir.
Yeah, so the case you talked about, Desiree Sanchez, so if you could explain something to me, and maybe others don't understand this, and we were talking about this, what does it mean, life plus 5? Does that mean, is that like what she did, she kept a dead body around for us, we're gonna keep her dead body around for 5 years?
Yeah.
But can you explain that a little bit? I mean, I watch TV, but I wanna know what the truth is. What does that mean?
It's awesome that you asked that, because we actually spoke at the board chamber this morning and got the same exact question. So life in Oklahoma is considered 45 years. Okay, so first of all, she was charged with murder, because we think she's probably the one that actually delivered the murdering blow. And she was charged with murder and then unlawful removal of the dead body. So she got life on the murder and with parole. And life in Oklahoma means 45 years. So when you go to prison on life in Oklahoma, DOC just changes that to 45. And it's an 85% crime, so she has to serve 85% of 45, so she has to serve 38 years. And then she got 5 years on count 2, so the jury gave her life on that and 5 years on count 2, and the judge ran it consecutive. So if once she paroles on the murder on her life sentence after 38 years, then she'll have to start serving the 5. The 5 is not an 85% crime, so she'll serve 6 months of that 5, maybe 3 months on that 5. And so that's why that means she's got 2 different crimes, and they got stacked. They run consecutively, and that's how that happened.
Thank you. What?
Yeah.
Coming from a military background,
Yeah.
The words mean something to me.
Sure.
So, you say what you mean what you say, and to me, that means life does not equal life. Life should be until that person is dead as a doornail in that jail cell. So that's another issue.
I love it.
So,
Great idea.
But anyways, that's what it means to me. I don't want to belabor the point, and I want someone else to answer the question, but thank you for the explanation.
Yeah, you bet. And that's the frustration we have across the system. So we have 85% crimes and violent stuff. People have to serve 85%. We know what they're going to serve going in. The rest of our crimes don't have to serve 85%. And so if we give somebody a 10, I'm with you. To me, they should serve 10. I don't know what you're talking about. But they serve about 1. And so if you get less than 8 in Oklahoma, they'll put you out on an ankle monitor in about 6 months. And so, you know, our jurors come in, it's like, well, I gave them 8. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna give them about 6 months then, because we're not able to tell the jurors, which in all honesty, we should, right? But yeah, I mean, to me, I wouldn't have to give someone, DAs get, you know, oh, you're just trying to send them along as long as you can. No, I'm just trying to get a meaningful sentence out of the deal. So I send somebody for 15, hoping that they can do 5. If I could send them for 5, and they did 5, all my sentences would change. I would go down here. But because I don't know what they might serve, I have to come up here to do it. Yes, sir.
Okay, so tell me a good story that came out of the drug court.
Yeah, lots of success stories in our drug court. Thank you for asking that. I'm a big proponent of drug court, you know, which is why I'm saddened by the numbers and the lack of people that we have taking advantage of that, because we have a great treatment team, we have treatment providers, we have a defense attorney, we've got members of my office, we've got a great judge and Judge Tupper that's there, and we get everybody treatment, we get everybody, and they have missteps, relapse is part of recovery, we all know that, but I mean, you see huge strides in people that, and it takes a while. It's a 2-year, it takes them about 2 years to get through the program, because they'll get 6 months in, get up to about stage 3, and then they'll have a relapse and kind of have to start over. But at the end, I went to a graduation about 3 weeks ago, and you just heard people that, you know, and the judge was commenting, he was like, this was not you when you started this program. And they're like, I know, Judge, I was not where I am today. They got their kids back. They were reunified with their families. They have held down a job for 6 months in a row for the first time in ever. And so they're responsible members of the community, and they have to announce that they've paid off all their court costs, that they've made good, that they paid the restitution back, if they owe people restitution for tearing their stuff up. And so all of that goes into it, and you see, and we dismiss their case. If they make it through all of that, their case gets dismissed. Unfortunately, though, you know, there's some defendants that will offer them 10 or drug court, and they say, just give me the 10, because that means I'll be out in 12 months, and I can be back to what I was doing, and I don't have to do a 2-year hard program. And literally, they'll sign up for 10 years in prison over drug court quite a bit. But the success stories, if they make it through, I mean, they're off the charts. It's really, really cool. Yes, sir.
Yeah, you mentioned fentanyl's a bad thing, I know. So you mentioned flop house.
Yeah.
What is a flop house? Do we have flop houses, and how do you tell what a flop house is?
Yeah, sorry. I don't know what the exact definition is. I just know it's where a bunch of drug geeks go to do the drugs and get the drugs, and then they stay in there and get high. So it's a place where you come and flop and stay and do your drugs, and so it's kind of, and yeah, we have them in Norman. And if you see a lot of traffic at one house coming and going, it's usually probably a flop house. So that's why we call it that. Where people just come and flop, lay on the couch and do the drugs and pass out. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I don't understand life without parole, if that doesn't mean without parole.
Yeah.
It says life parole times 2.
Let me see. So life without parole usually means life without parole. They can't parole them. A governor can grant clemency on it. And so what will happen is they'll go and try to get clemency on the case of the governor. And so 15 years from now, the governor might grant clemency and then change their sentence. But unless that happens, they're never getting out. Life without parole means they'll never discharge that, and they will be in there forever. Yeah. So there was 2 counts. Which case was that? Anybody? Oh yeah. So yeah, he had killed a pregnant lady and her unborn baby, and so there were 2 counts for the homicides, and he got life without parole on each of those, for each of those murders. Thank you guys. I'll be available.
That was really wonderful. Thank you so much for all that information. Thank you to your staff. that are here. We appreciate having Jennifer, Blight, and Stephen here. Please, everyone, remember to take posters on your way out. Please put them up in businesses. If you can put them up in a few different businesses or help share them in the community, Starbucks, other community boards, we would really appreciate that since it's so close to our event. Thank you, Kyla, for coming from the Legacy Club, Zane and Roy. We appreciate having you both. And please, welcome our newest member, Charlie. Come say hello to him and have a great week.